beginning of the end. This period of time was not without its problems, though. Running the house was a tremendous amount of work, and it began taking its toll on the team and the volunteers. Fathers Andre and Joe and Sister Ellie had to find a way to earn money since the house could not support them. In a sense, they were like the secular Franciscans who had to work in the world in addition to following their Franciscan dream. At times, scheduling work at the house proved to be difficult, and there was some grumbling among the secular Franciscans about the workload. It was stressful for the team and the fraternity. I remember towards the end it was hard to schedule cleaning, cooking, said Denise Cubiter. Pat Spanner also remembers it was hard. We grumbled as a fraternity. How many talks did we have on grumbling because we had a rough time? It was a difficult period because few new people were drawn into the fraternity. The commitment to the group's apostolate proved to be intimidating. That was the hard part, said Pat. People would be drawn to us, but when they realized the commitment we had, they were afraid. When I think of driving home alone from the South Bronx at midnight, we believed we were protected, and we were, she said. Yet they continued to minister in the way they had dreamed. When one member felt overwhelmed, others pitched in to ease the burden. Despite the difficulties they encountered, they worked as a family to lift one another up in prayer. As united as the fraternity was, it was not perfect. As in every family, there were moments of conflict, there were disputes and often painful confrontations. Yet everything was said in love and received in love. This contributed to the fraternal harmony that is key to a successful fraternity. In the fall of 1989, the team at the retreat house, Fathers Joe and Andre, Sister Ellie and secular Franciscan Pat Spanner, received a notice from the new pastor at Our Lady of Pity that the parish had need of the little portion building. After some discussion between the pastoral and retreat house teams, it was decided to hand over the building on April 1st, 1990. It was with mixed feelings and heavy hearts that this decision was made. The team and the secular Franciscans were reluctant to let the ministry go. A newsletter sent out by the team in December of 1989 said in part, "We are completing the retreat commitments we have made up to the end of December, cancelling those after that and taking no new ones. The work of retreats will end with the close of this year 1989. By April 1st, the house will be empty and the formal ministry of the little portion will be at an end. Our needs. At this point, our greatest need is the support of your prayers, your love, and your faith. From the beginning, the little portion has been a powerful symbol in many people's lives. It has symbolized the enduring presence of the spirit of St. Francis, coming to birth in conjunction with the 800th anniversary of his birth in 1182. It symbolizes the persistence of hope in a world where despair so easily can prevail. It symbolizes the reality of transformation, an old abandoned building having been transformed through love, faith, and sweat into what many have called a spiritual oasis. And it symbolizes one concrete way in which the injunction to Francis, "Rebuild my church," has been obeyed both literally and metaphorically. Our need is to remain firmly rooted in these truths and in the faith that enables them to grow. The letter, in effect, was a goodbye to the hundreds of people who supported the dream from the very beginning. It went on to say that there was some discussion about relocating, but we decided that for us it did not appear to be a path unto which we were being drawn by God. The team felt some anger and sadness. This was an especially difficult time for Father Andre, who was also dealing with his father's illness. Sister Ellie was shocked and also angry. I remember when we did a day of retreat for people from St. Augustine's parish, and we had just found out that we were going to close, so it was one of the last retreats, she said. Yet here are these poor people who live in the circumstances they live in, and they were so concerned about us. They kept saying, God is going to take care of you. Their faith was there. It was such a beautiful way in which their faith and hope and love was just right there for us. And we were angry at that point, not feeling too happy about the whole thing. The secular Franciscans too were reeling. Where would they go? What would become of the fraternity? What about their ministry? Yet they knew that although their ministry in the South Bronx was coming to an end, their journey as secular Franciscans would continue. So once again the team and the secular Franciscans put their complete trust in God. Many of them came to a certain peace about the house closing. All accepted that it was time to move on. The house that they had rebuilt was meant for other work within the community. So it was a bittersweet ending to an amazing chapter in the lives of all those involved. After the decision had been made to move ahead, the fraternity and the team made provisions to do just that. Everything that had been donated to the house was given away to the poor, including the furnishings, linens, kitchen and pantry items. It would give a fresh start to the next project moving into the space, but it also seemed fitting that what was in the house be given back to the community. A special gift was also made of the chapel. When the little portion closed, the poor Clare sisters then in the North Bronx accepted the entire chapel furniture for their daily use at their monastery, said Father Andre. When they moved, the chapel furniture was given to Mount Alvernia Retreat House in Wappingers Falls, New York, where it still is today. That proved to be a great gift to the fraternity as well, because they make annual retreats at Mount Alvernia and are able to visit the chapel they loved so much. The stained glass window from the Little Portion Sanctuary was installed in the convent of the Missionary Franciscan Sisters of the Immaculate Conception in Tenafly, New Jersey. The Little Portion in many instances exceeded my expectations. In fact, some of my expectations were more restrictive than the reality of the way the dream unfolded. In a sense, I can say that every time we surrendered this ministry to God, God took it beyond my dreams and expectations, said Father Andre. Father Joe agreed. During the last 20 years, I met many people who either heard of the portion or were at the house. Whether the person was a cloistered Carmelite nun or a woman or man I would casually meet, the lament would always be expressed. What a loss, he said. Whether they enunciated their regret or their loss, they always praised the impact made by the portion.